Good morning. My name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies today on the 23rd of September with the weekly Monday's Musings. I feel like it's really important this week to pause, to check what it is we're hoping to achieve in a situation, to be very clear in that with ourselves and with all aspects involved. To recognise that we may not see everything that is ahead of us. I'm looking in front of me and one of my paintings is wonky. I can really feel my own obsessive compulsions coming to light, but also recognising that I can feel them, that I'm aware of what's going on, which feels key. If we take nothing this week, by the end of it, we will have a much deeper awareness of our own emotional process. Not only in relationships, particularly as we lead into the new moon in Libra, but in how we connect to ourselves, how we connect to our plans, how we connect to anything that we're trying to manifest, how we connect to the earth, how we connect, full stop. I'm acutely aware of a longing to straighten things up, but also a need to step back to recognise where that's coming from and to see things with a bit more curiosity and joy, especially in relation to the unknown and the what we would perceive imperfections. And when I sense into that, when I step back from what I think something should be, there's a wave of information, a wave of support trying to come through for us all. I've been sensing into the energy over this last weekend. I actually took the weekend off, and much as it's been beautiful to have that balance, that self-imposed balance, that responsibility of saying I'm working Monday to Friday, I'm having the weekend for normal life as much as obviously we can. There's a return coming also, so you come back to work on the Monday morning and it can be a bit heavy because we've really enjoyed our time off, and what I'm hearing here is finding the balance so that we have a life as much as possible that we don't need time off from. That's going to be different for everybody based on obviously what we do for a living, based on our current circumstances. But what does that look like for you, where you have a life where you're not separate, or rather discombobulated? It's one thing to have our work hat, one thing to have our parent hat, one thing to have our preferences and our desire hat. What is the hat that runs through them all? This week we're being encouraged to put that on. So I will give an example. This morning I had a bit of a wobble because one of the things that I felt into really wanting to experience in this lifetime is financial abundance. And even saying it, I feel cringy, which is why I want to lean into that more. All the time for me personally, there's a reaction there. I'm curious, what is this about? Why do I feel these things? I like to investigate or challenge those subconscious parts of myself with some intrigue, because that's how we learn, right? Whether that's ourselves individually or collectively. Why has that caused that reaction within me? Now, I'm not suggesting we put ourselves in unsafe positions. Obviously, I'm not saying we fear something incredibly so we push into it more, but we can lean gently, particularly into our own stuff this week, and find some wonderful answers, which is what I did this morning. I leant into that when it came to the money, the sweet spot, if you will, leaning into it. And the energy that I felt behind it, I thought, okay, so what would happen if I did achieve this financial abundance, what I perceive as this financial abundance? I felt the version of myself that would be, and actually it was my higher self. It was my highest, most potential vibration. And for a lot of people out there, you're probably going, well, yeah, duh, obviously we know that. Whatever it may be this week, it's about taking it up to the next level of vibration within you, seeing it from a higher perspective, but also embodying it from a higher perspective as well. How would that feel beyond the thoughts, beyond the judgments, beyond the, oh, I can't go there? Why and how would that feel if I did? Because there's great learning to be had there this week, and it is part of the process of manifestation. I was talking with some dear friends today, and it's wonderful when you reflect back how you see things when you're in a safe space, because you get that opportunity to really see yourself and your own process on a deeper level. Yeah, you get to understand your own wisdom. So often we speak without hearing what we're saying, and it's not until we share it that we can really reflect on where we're at and what we understand of the world that we're creating. And this morning we were talking about manifestation, and I spoke of the importance of the pause. Now I know the importance of the pause, but it's one thing to know and it's another to embody this week. And I always felt that the importance of the pause was about trust and about a communication with other areas, but actually it's transition. Now, as a midwife, I've always known transition, if you're passing or if you're about to deliver, that moment before real change. Today I really recognise how constant transition is, how it's a valid part of every process of change, how without it there isn't change. We cannot shift what we're trying to create if we don't allow time for things to settle first. And that is the energy we're being provided with this week in particular. We do have the equinox. We are going into the new moon in Libra. We are in Libra season. Yes, it's about balance, but it's also about recognizing that new stuff comes in when we stop. When we pause, movement actually happens. It's not about balance, it's about the conflict that we have with polarities, and recognizing that balance comes from both aspects. If we want things to move this week, we may very well be encouraged to stop. And that may go against everything that we know. Movement means to move, right? In action. If we want more gratitude this week, we may find we have to, or we're encouraged, invited to go into the areas where we're not. Why? Because manifestation is a form of problem solving also, and we often forget that. And it's a communication between ourselves and our environment and where we're at. So unless we can feel into what we don't want, we're not going to know what we do also. Now, that's not to say we have to spend our life embodying everything that we don't want, but if it comes up to be looked at this week, the guidance, the encouragement is to feel into that, not to get lost into it, but to feel into that as part of the process. It's showing us what we do want. Anything else with that? Well, of course, what really matters, I'm seeing the scales, I'm seeing justice here, and we have the light and we have the dark, and we have the equinox, and we have happiness and sadness, and all these polarities here. But smack bang in the middle, we have the physical body, and that is us. That is our responsibility. There are going to be things this week that are out of our control. However, our responsibility is our ability to respond, to really look at where we're at in regards to what we're feeling and how well we can hold space for that, and seeking help if we need to, being aware that that help may come from areas we may not have considered. Another example, last week I went to a art class at the Rowans hospice. Now, it was the last thing I wanted to do. I did not want to go to the place that my mother went before she died. I did not want to bring up those emotions. I wanted to block them completely. However, I was aware they were there. Like if anyone's ever read Clarissa, Women Who Run with Wolves, I strongly recommend it, by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Strongly recommend it. An amazing book. There's a story in there called The Skeleton Woman, and we drag these things around with us. This week we're being given the opportunity to be conscious of that, not necessarily to let go of them, even though we're in the autumn. Letting go doesn't always have to be something that we do. Awareness is key this week. We can be aware of what we're carrying, and that in itself can shift the process. So going to the Rowans, stepping back into that energy, but also having a tool like art or creativity to find a outlet for what I was feeling has really helped to shift it naturally and create something quite beautiful as a result. That's the importance this week of the physical body. We're feeling these things, whether we like it or not, whether we are aware or not, we're feeling these things, particularly as we go into the last quarter of the year, coming up into autumn, then going into winter. We're about to go into those darker times. So what can we do to provide nurture for the body? What does the body need? Sometimes I need to walk a bit further. Sometimes it just isn't enough. Sometimes I need to do my womb massage for longer, or I need to pull another card because I'm not quite sure actually, and there's more there that I need to discover. Sometimes I need to step away from it all. What do we actually need this week for our physical bodies to continue what it is we're doing? There's going to be a real difference as we go into 2025 and the 9-year. When it comes to completion, there's going to be a real difference when it comes to our understanding of change, that it all comes down to where we are physically at. How we see money, how we see manifestation, how we see relationships, they're all mirrored from where we are physically. Yes, we can work on our emotional energy. Yes, we can work on our spiritual energy, but physically we're tired. Well, it's going to be hard work. We're going to want a holiday away from that. Physically, if we haven't given ourselves room to create or have fun, we're going to begrudge the things that take our time. So physically, if we're not up to par in our fitness or whatever, we're going to find other things more enduring. And the difference is going to be endurance or ease and grace. And the key as we go into 2025 is going to be the physical body. We're going into the year of the hermit, right? It's going to be how well we can allow our emotions and our own physical guidance to, well, pretty much guide us forward. I'm being drawn to the Tipex on my desk, and for those that have read the daily guidance today, the daily dose today, there was a lot of things in my journal I was going to correct, to get rid of, because I felt shame or guilt for wanting these things, and I didn't believe I had any Tipex. Well, I do have Tipex there. It is there. The option to correct what we're doing is there. The guidance this week is to look at why we feel that need. Is it because we want things to be perfect? And where does that come from? How does that feel? More importantly, is that the energy that we want to take forward? So is there anything else? Not to look around too much for other synchronicities this week. There's one thing between having something reflected back to you to give you encouragement, and another to hold you back almost. I have definitely before read the cards and wanted more confirmation and more confirmation and more confirmation, and that's that fine line. So yes, really looking into what we need, but being honest, do we need it? Okay, what is deeper underneath it? What is the experiences that we're longing for underneath it? Really feeling into that, because the other often underestimated aspect of manifestation is to use our emotions. Okay, so for those that are more of the pagan, the druid, those kind of paths, we all know that you need the elements on board. You work with the elements, and we all know that our thoughts are the representation of air, that our spirit, our drive, our ambition, our desires, they are the representation of fire. Our emotions, our psyche, our collective subconscious and not consciousness is our water, and also our physical body is our earth element. And then there's the fifth element, the responsibility of us holding all those elements together. So this week, how does something feel? Is your head in alignment with how you feel? This morning I had a really big wobble. My head was saying to me actually da 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 da, and it was having an impact on my emotions in regard to what I wanted. And then my drive, my ambition waned, and physically my body started to ache. So be aware of these processes. Be aware of the fact that the body is a vessel of creativity. So what does it need? If you're doubting something, okay, what do I need to help me with that? Is a mental thing, an emotional thing, a physical thing? Are there things that I can put in place, help that I can seek? Be not only conscious of what you're creating, but part of it, part of the team. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to look at the energies this week and how to best navigate them on a day-to-day basis. There are changes coming in with how we create, with how we manifest, with how we see ourselves as part of that. It is exciting, the root chakra. Oh, dropped a card. Under the table. Almost having to go under the table. It's not about what we bring to the table, it's about what's underneath the whole table itself. So how we view manifestation itself. And we have the Ace of Pentacles here, and then we also have the World card here, and the Three of Swords underneath. So sometimes when we want to create things, if they don't quite turn out the way that we had expected, hoped, planned, we can really judge what it is we create, and that can actually hold us back. That can disconnect us from our heart. And this week we're being given an opportunity to see how important the heart is to creativity, to allow that to be the first physical step. How do we feel about this? Why are we feeling this? How do we really feel underneath it? Not what we think about it, how we feel. about it this week is going to be key. And it is about seeing how we create with the universe, with our emotions, with ourselves, whether that's relationships, jobs, healing, our visions. This morning I had a real wobble, and I thought I was having a wobble with what it was I wanted, but actually I had a real wobble with how I view being in alignment. Queen of Swords at the bottom of the pack. How I view being in alignment. And this week it's a great opportunity to remember, to reconnect to when things went well for you, or when things seemed to almost slot into place. How did it feel? How did you feel? What was your energy? There's a high chance it wasn't all just positive things. You know, I've been in some situations where from an outside perspective I could think, well, that was quite negative, but actually it flowed. So what does it feel like when you're in that state of flow? Including connecting to creativity. Sometimes with creativity, the more connected we are, the more comes in, and that can really build up. So what do you need to do to keep that flow going? Do you need to put it into something? Have you been having ideas that you haven't acted on, that are constantly still there? Act on them, write them down, do something with them, move them this week. Okay. And there is some discernment there that's needed. It's the Queen of Swords, so it's recognizing that sometimes the most nurturing thing we can do is to delegate something if we're not actually going to get round to it. There's no judgment there, but if we can't get round to whatever it is we're trying to get round to delegate. Why? Because then we have the Six of Pentacles. Then we start to restore that harmony, that physical harmony, not only for ourselves but others. There could be someone out there that really wants to do a certain job for a certain amount of time, for a certain amount of money or whatever in that week, and you need someone for that time, and that's what you can afford to give them. And you know, by trying to do it all yourself, not only are you impacting yourself physically, but you're impacting the flow, you're impacting other people. Being very aware of that this week. And that's not to say take it on board as in like weight on your shoulders, but for those that are unable to hand over what has now become too much, recognizing that by doing so you are helping a far bigger flow than your own need to control. Your own beliefs or views around letting go of these things. I hear the phrase no man is an island this week, because it's about the collective balance as well. There is enough to go around. There's enough healing to go around. There's enough information out there to be shared to go around. There's enough platforms out there. There's enough, well, don't even get me started on finances and food and things like that. If we all manage to maintain this balance, there is more than enough to go around. So in your life, where do you feel things are lacking? Where do you feel things are out of balance? Who can help you with that? And how can you help others? You might find you have certain things that people need. Yeah, really sharing that this week, really feeling into that this week. Why? Because underneath we have the Hierophant. It's not until we actually ascend our beliefs, it's not until we actually rise above any lessons, any teachings, above it all, above the dogma that we often instill in ourselves as well. It's not until we walk past these things and we continue to apply it to life that the deepest insights are available there. It is to do with the masculine. I shared with a couple of friends today how, now I'm obviously physically I do not identify as a man, so I do not know about the male rites of passage. However, I was listening to a record from Dave Gilmour yesterday, incredible record, please check it out, his latest one, and I could hear a soul, a male soul that had aged beautifully, that had in doing so expanded, that had become more sacred in his masculinity, and I could feel and hear the feminine in there as well. And I likened it to the female equivalent of menopause. Now slow down, I'm not saying men go through menopause, or I'm not even getting involved in that. What I'm saying is an elder energy is coming through for the masculine. So what do we need this week to hold space for that? Because what that is our actions. Yeah, the masculine is our actions. So the more we can feel into whatever is going on for us as a feminine, the more physically our actions can become aligned, not based on the lessons, not based on the insights, but beyond that, the bigger, greater vision that they were always about, the energy behind it all. Whatever it is you're wanting this week, how does it feel? How does it feel? I keep bringing your brain, your body, your cellular core, if you will, back to that, because that's your soul. It's not about the houses, the partners, these are all wonderful steps towards that, but it's about enlightenment of your own soul's energy. So what does that feel like? Your soul wants to experience these things on all levels. So what does it feel like? Allowing yourself that. Okay. What does it feel like to have a nice, clear, direct messages for the week? Okay. Moon on the bottom of the pack. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall. At the bottom of the pack, we have the Moon card. What's important this week when we're thinking about how does something feel is to allow ourselves to feel. We can, like I did then, the expectation, what does it feel like to have clear messages? Well, I naturally assumed they would just get straight to the point and be clear, and it's a process. Emotions are a process. So whatever comes up, don't stop at the first feeling. And what? And what? And what? Have some curiosity with all of this. Don't get lost in one emotion. Allow it to take you to the next level and the next level, like waves, yeah? Like pain or pleasure. You know, there are both sides of the one coin, but each time we get accustomed to where we are, and then we take it up, and then we take it up, and then we take it up. So not getting too comfortable is what's going to stop us from getting what we believe to be stuck. Just to keep taking it up to the next level, to go beyond what we perceive as our own limitations this week is going to be key, because we have the Ace of Wands overall. There is a deep opening, I didn't mention it earlier, with the root chakra being wobbled and excited. What's also happening is an incredible opening with the third eye as well. But it is about how we see our ability to connect to our vision. It's not out there. Our vision is not external. Our vision is internal. It came from something within. When we wanted something, it came from something within. A spark from within, a potential that we've seen for ourselves. Bring that back home this week. Bring it back to the heart, because on the Monday, we have the Nine of Cups. On the Monday, it's almost like we're submerging with our emotions overall, but then we have the opportunity to rise from that. Tower card underneath, opening our heart for the treasure that has been found here. These cups look like singing cups, singing bowls, yeah, allowing these sounds, these callings from our heart, our higher self, our desires, our drives, our ambition, these experiences, whatever it is, allow them to call us out of any emotional slumbers that we may have found ourselves on, particularly on the Monday. On the Tuesday, yeah, I feel that. I feel movement, and obviously the train just went by, but that training has shifted, and my higher heart just went. So we're then taking it from the physical heart up to the cosmic heart, and that's what's actually happening here. We can think that it's about manifesting this and manifesting that, bringing certain aspects into a more 5D awareness, whatever you want to call it, but there's a deep connection here to our higher cosmic heart that is opening, that is going to take over the process. So there needs to be an almost surrender to that of our mind, not by forcing our mind, but by nurturing our mind, by recognizing you've got a little bowl here in the corner, yeah, that's almost been chained up. It looks like a little heart here. By recognizing that the mind has protected us. That's what it does. That's how it knew how to do it. So giving the mind a more nurturing perspective of itself is going to be key on Tuesday. We can often berate ourselves and think, I've ended up in my head, I've overthought this, obsessive compulsive, Okay, and what? Yeah, recognizing that process in a more nurturing way is going to be key on Tuesday, because we don't want to separate the mind from the process. We don't want to separate the heart from the process. It's about coming to a nice physical balance. There are a few more steps on the Wednesday to do that, and it is related to how we work. It is related, the Eight of Pentacles, to how we see mastery of work. So today I was talking to my husband, and he said something about if he won loads of money, he probably would never work. And I actually said everything I do is work. That's how I see it. And that can come across as quite heavy, right? But I don't mean, how do you see work? So when I'm gardening, I'm working with the earth. When I'm healing, I'm working with that energy. It's constant work, but it's creativity. I see work as creativity. So how do you see work this week? Really changing your perspective on that, or embodying your perspective on that. I've only just realized that I see work as creativity, and that's just changed my whole mindset just doing that. So looking at what is being reflected back to you, looking at the different cycles of work, so working when you have the energy, and maybe allowing time to rebalance yourself as and when you can, so that we don't, like I said at the beginning of the video, need that life where we have to take a break from it. It's not about taking a break from our life, okay? It's more about bringing all those aspects back together, allowing them to take the driving seat. Being responsible, you have the candle here, being responsible for our creative physical body, taking care of it. That is our responsibility. And we may be inundated. I don't know what's going on for people. You may be constantly working, or you don't get 5 minutes from the beautiful kids or whatever. I don't know your situation, but I do know you can breathe. You can become more conscious of the words that you use. You can actually slow. It's that energy of slowing down to get more done. That doesn't mean you're not doing. What that means is you're becoming more aware, more embodied, and as such, you don't end up running around like a headless chicken repeating the same things. And manifestation is no different. Taking time for the pause, which can just be a breath. It can be whatever, or what is she going on about? Whatever it is, taking a moment to assess where you are means you're not creating from where you were. Transition is key. So this week, take a moment to pause, purely in your awareness, your physical awareness. There's no point trying to create something that you don't believe in. It's going to be really hard. It's going to show you how you don't believe in it. Yes, that's going to bring things up for you to heal, blah, 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 blah. But if you've jumped the fact that you don't believe in it and gone straight to, I need to heal this, I need to shift this, I need to work with this, well, maybe you just need to be aware that you're a bit wobbly in your belief. What do you need from that? A bit of nurture. Sometimes we don't believe in things until they happen. That's perfectly normal as well. Being acutely aware of what work means to you on the Wednesday, being very responsible for your own awareness of what you are creating, watching the candle, ensuring that you don't burn it at both ends. That can be anything. That can be, you have all these ideas, you do nothing with it, they build up. That can cause burnout, creative burnout, or you're feeling all of these things but you're not eating. Not in the body, not taking that moment to nurture the very vessel that it's coming through, or you're having late nights, you're getting up early. It could be really, really simple Wednesday. It could be the finest of tunings that helps to restore the balance, or it can get to the point where it's totally out of balance and then it's going to require more. So it's like the saying, isn't it? Meditate for 20 minutes a day. I think it was Buddha. Meditate for 20 minutes a day, and if you don't have 20 minutes a day, double that, or whatever it is. The work you put in for yourself on the Wednesday is going to pay dividends by the end of the week. It's going to restore that balance, or it's going to be needed by the end of the week. The choice is ours. On the Thursday, we have the first major arcana, the only major arcana other than the overall arcana, and that's Temperance. And what I find really interesting is leading up to Thursday, it's all feminine energy. Every card has a feminine representation on it, so really being aware of our emotions leading up until Thursday. And then come Thursday, we have a character of Temperance who looks masculine but also looks non-gender, which is a classic with temperance in the tarot. And that feels quite important, that it's not about just our emotions and it's not about just our actions. It's about both of them combining together here. It's about recognizing those polarities as one. It's that that's actually going to take us forward. Allowing the creative energy to flow within and around us, asking for support as and when we need it. Recognizing the cycles within us as well. There are times to act and times to rest, and they may be inconvenient. But if it's safe to do so, the guidance is to do it when you can, or at least make time for it, because it's important. Inconvenient to who? Inconvenient to who? Because it's not inconvenient to the higher plan or the higher self to ensure that the very vessel that is creating everything is well stocked, well nurtured and listened to. On the Friday we have the Five of Wands, and that's a definite masculine energy coming through with the Five of Wands, although I do see a few female characters there, so watching out for assumptions on the Friday. It's not all about the actions. It may feel like it is on the Friday, and that can cause that halfway mark where it doesn't feel like we're getting anywhere. You know, there's lots to be done. Nothing's actually getting created. They're all part and parcel of the one. Feeling into the drive behind it is what's going to be key on the Friday, and then breaking down the steps bit by bit, recognizing that they're all there to elevate us, whether that's triggers, glimmers, actions, reactions, creative steps forward, connections, whatever it may be, it's all part of the process on the Friday. But it is a 5, so we're halfway, expecting that almost backwards forwards tango dance with the universe. Tried this, didn't quite work out. Okay, so let's go back and think about what we do want as a result of that. Okay, I want to try this. That wasn't for me either. Let's step back. Let's go this way. Let's try this. That's collaboration with the universe. That's figuring out the experiences that the soul actually wants. And on the Saturday, as a result, we have the Two of Cups. When we recognize that not everything that happens is it didn't happen or a failure, but part and parcel of this ongoing communication, this ongoing flow, this ongoing sharing, we can really enjoy the process for the sacred union that it is. We can recognize that the polarity isn't just about us. A bit of a funny turn on the Saturday, so watch your energies. The polarity isn't just about dark and light, night and day, spirit and physical. It's about us and source as well, us and our soul as well. We often talk about soulmates and forget that we are the mate of our soul. Our physical body is a very consort of our soul. Recognizing that on the Saturday is what's going to really shift things forward quickly. On the Sunday with the Eight of Wands, I'm trying to think date-wise, but that feels like key as well. Date-wise, perhaps taking ourselves on a play date, perhaps going out on a few dates, a few experiences in life. It's only in experiencing these things that we realize what we want and what we don't want. And sometimes it can be really nice to think, I just want this, but that's based on where we are. When we experience something, that changes. So what's the energy underneath it? The sooner we can tap into how we want to feel, the quicker things are going to be, particularly by the Sunday. But it does feel like that's the overall invitation all week. That's also the polarity, so recognizing that that quick energy can burn us out just as quick if we don't do something with it, if we don't hold space for it, if we don't allow ourselves to feel it and be part of the process. We're not separate from the process of our own creativity. Acknowledging that, allowing it to come through us in what is called the hollow bone, allowing that source to come through, to be experienced through our bodies, to shake us up, to help us to move, to help us to create, and to then share that forward this week. That's the equilibrium and the harmony that we seek, whether it doesn't really matter what type of healing it is, what course you go on, what lessons you understand, and when we can come back to our own inner harmony, all of this aligns. So when it comes to manifestation, everything that we're asking for is an opportunity to return back to that beautifully aligned truth that is individual for us all. So recognizing that, feeling what that feels like underneath, and then watching the things that we don't actually need or want fall to the wayside this week is going to be key, because there are a few illusions there in regards to what we think we're yearning for, what we think we want, what we think we should want. Yeah, there's some cycles that have really changed here. only by, it reminds me of the tale of the two wolves, you know, what wolf you feed in this card, which in itself isn't as accurate as people think. It was actually in the 60s, and it was not an indigenous saying, but what wolf we feed. Yeah, so where are we acting from? What are we feeling when we're asking for these things? Is going to be the game changer. And this isn't something that we don't already know, but it does feel as if with the moon and temperance as our major arcanas this week, it's an opportunity to see just how well we do know this. Have we embodied this in our cycles, in our wisdom, in our emotional intelligence, or are we still being subdued by subconscious concerns here? So overall, let's look at the elements, because the elements are really important. How imbalanced they are, how imbalanced we are this week is going to be key. So put them to one side, to one side, that to one side. Okay, so there's 3 wand cards. The creative birth comes from our creative birth. The more, I can't remember who it was that said it, might have been Picasso, said something along the lines, and this very ad lib, that if you're waiting for inspiration, it won't come, it's in the work. The more we can get out there, the more we can share, the more we can make space for this energy that wants to come through, that wants to show us, teach us what it is we want to take through to 2025, the clearer that's going to be. And that does mean by experiencing it, creative expression, by actually experiencing what is going on. And feeling into that this week, it's going to show us where our mind may not quite be aligned, or where there's new ideas that want to come through, the spiritual work that is needed, and the speed that can come from that, provided we can open our eyes, open our heart, recognize it's all been part of it, every step. It's not, oh, we haven't learned this, or oh, we're doing this again. It's all been part of it. When we can recognize that, we can see everything that has happened thus far as an opportunity to realign us, to bring us back into harmony, to recognize who we are as creative expressions of whatever you want to believe in, God, source, great spirit, your higher self, love, whatever that may be. But we are a creative expression of that. Now run free with it. Now run wild with it. Now let it take you wherever you need to be. We then have 2 cup cards. The union comes from the 2 of cups and the 9 of cups, from feeling the beauty of that, from feeling the beauty of these experiences with our soul. And I do totally appreciate that it isn't always easy. I do get that. That's okay. That's part of the process too. I'm not going to say see the higher perspective, or do this or do that. Feel wherever you are. Allow yourself that union with your emotions based on your understandings and your feelings of it. The heart will open. You know, the heart can open with grief, it can open with gratitude. The heart will open. So what do you need to provide a safe space for your body to do that? We then have 1 sword card and 1 pentacle card. Now is a beginning when it comes to how we think about things. They need re-nurturing. There's going to be thoughts coming back up that are repetitive thoughts, and how we nurture those repetitive thoughts, how much time we give those repetitive thoughts, is going to impact the space that we have for new thoughts to come in. So, okay, yes, this morning with the money thing, well, that wobbled me. I can recognize that. I can understand all the judgments that are coming from that. And what's beyond it? What's beyond it? Okay, I don't need to tip exit. I need a little bit of love and a little bit of reassurance there. What's beyond that? Okay, so how much time we give repetitive messages this week is going to determine the space that we have for something new to come in. It's a beautiful process. We're letting go of messages, but it's not pushing them to one side. It's seeing them and balancing them with a new way of seeing them, a new way of seeing our thoughts, a new way of seeing these insights that have come up, a new way of seeing our journey with them as well. You know, we can try and get rid of things left, right and centre, but it's not until we embrace them. And again, I'm not talking about things that aren't safe or whatever, that's common sense, right? But unless we embrace our mindset, it's just going to find a different way of speaking to us. And this week, the more we can nurture that and allow in a different perspective, the more new ideas are going to come through. And then we have 1 pentacle card, which is the Eight of Pentacles, and I feel that under my solar plexus. I feel that in my heart, and I feel that going down into my sacral as well, and into my back, like it's all been a lot of hard work. That's what it feels like. There's been a lot of hard work going on. It's not to say that things aren't stretching or discomfort sometimes, but is it hard naturally, or is it being made harder than it needs to be? And only you can answer that. Sometimes we do things to make it easier, but it can be in the short term, not in the long term. Sometimes it is kinder to rip the band-aid off and look at areas where we don't want to continue what it is we're doing. It's going to be difficult when it comes to our physical actions, because they all feel important. They all feel important, and that's understandable. But look at what she's actually holding, the candle. The new beginning physically this week, our definition of work comes from how well we look after ourselves. It really is that simple. How well we can keep the candle burning, the flame burning. Is, you know, we can very easily say, oh, I'm feeling agitated with this, it's because I've got this to heal and that to heal and da-da-da. But it could just be that we're feeling a little bit tired. You know, it could just be that we're thirsty, that we want something to eat, or we want to go for a walk, or really feeling into those basic physical needs this week is going to be key. We can get very lost almost in the psyche, you know, that moon card, very lost in the collective energy, the subconscious energy, the I need to heal this, I need to shift this, it's because of this, this and this, and sometimes you're just bloody hungry. It's like the chocolate advert. Yeah, you're not yourself when you're hungry. So if you want to avoid getting hangry this week, ensure that your physical needs are met, and recognize that that is the most important step right now. That is the difference between work, pleasure and play. Have a wonderful week, and I shall see you soon. Take care.